Hi, welcome to Gene Rants. I'm Gene, and I'm wondering if any of you, I have to suspect that at least some of you are a little bit puzzled by the title to today's vlog, which is what a right-wing German political party, and a right-wing British political party, and I could also add a right-wing French political party, but I couldn't fit it into the title. It's limited to 100 characters. But what can these right-wing parties teach our American, these foreign right-wing parties teach our American left-wing Democrat Party, and it's becoming more left as farther and farther to the left. That's what I want to talk about today, because not all of it looks like it's only a matter of time before most of the Democratic Party is far left, socialist, communist, condoning, as we have seen, all these left wingers cheering the assassination of Charlie Kirk. And I wonder if the Democratic Party may be at a crossroads, and that's what we'll be talking about today. An important lesson that these right-wing parties in Germany could teach the left-wing Democrats. We'll begin, though, by showing you, here is a short clip of John Fetterman, the Democratic senator from Pennsylvania.
When I represent a state like Pennsylvania, that keeps you honest. And you always can't forget that a lot of Americans happen to disagree with you. That does not mean that they are fascists or now they want to shred the Constitution.
When you hear some Democrats saying Trump is acting like an autocrat.
Yeah, no, that's the thing. If you actually compare him to an actual autocrat, that is not just that. Now, last night, for example, people were complaining. They were protesting about, oh, that's the Hitler thing. You just don't ever compare anyone to Hitler and those kinds of extreme things. And now look what happened to Charlie Kirk. I mean, the man was shot. Now we have to turn the temperature down. It's like we can't compare people to these kinds of figures in history. And this is not an autocrat. This is a product of a democratic election. It's like I participated in that. It was safe and it was secure. We lost. And the America people put us in the minority. And now that's democracy. And I revere democracy. I may not like the outcome, but I have to respect that, and I have to find and work through this. And I do believe that's what's appropriate.
So you don't think that Trump is at all shattering any of the norms of democracy?
I'm saying he's definitely different, but that's what America voted for. Again, I don't agree with many of these things, but that does not make him an autocratic. That does not make someone, or compare him to people like Hitler and these other outlandish things.
And actually, I don't know why. Maybe it's inevitable that he will one day become a Republican or a moderate Republican. He has said that he has no intention of switching parties, but that could change in the future. But there is an alternative, and that's what I want to talk about. And speaking of alternatives, there is the right-wing party in Germany that is called our Alternative for Germany, or Alternative für Deutschland. Forgive if you're German, my terrible pronunciation. But that was a party that was very much on the fringe, and you have the left-wing parties in Germany trying to suppress talk about anti-democratic, trying to ban the Alternative for Germany party, but they just grow. They just won. They were only at 5% in this one local area of Germany, and now there was a local election and they won 15%, which is still not even close to winning, but it's three times, it's tripling in just a very short time. And then you have nationally, they are right now the most popular party in Germany, this right-wing party. But they were nowhere just maybe only a few months ago, or at least a year ago, a couple years ago, and the main issue, immigration. They have been just growing on that issue. Then you have in France, you have, again, forgive my terrible foreign pronunciation, I think they're called Rassemblement National, National Assembly, I believe it's translated in English. That is another Marine Le Pen. That is another right-wing party in France, and they are growing in popularity too, and that is a big problem for the left-wing parties in Germany, actually for the moderates too. The reason the French government, they have a different system from ours, it just collapsed. There was a no confidence vote for the prime minister, and under their system, that collapses the government. But the President Macron is refusing to call a new election. He would be out if he does that. But what happened was the reason France is so, well, let's be frank, ungovernable these days is because France, you have the moderate middle of the road party, Macron's party, formed an alliance with the far left party to have a majority, and they are very just like the left and the far left of the Democrat party here, and there were it made no sense for them, these two wings, these two parties to align, except it was specifically to keep the right wing party from forming a government. So specifically for that, but again, that party, they were ostracized. Well, Marine Le Pen, her father, Jean-Pierre or Jean-Marie Le Pen, her father was a very very anti-Semitic and all that. She threw her own father out of the party. Marine Le Pen did. They are a much more mainstream party now, but they were way down, and now they are rising, and they probably would be it would not surprise me for them to be the majority party or get the most votes in the next presidential election in France. And that brings us now to England. England, the Reform Party, they won. They were they were nowhere a few years ago. The Reform Party was formed by Nigel Farage, close friend of Donald Trump, by the way. But Nigel Farage, it was about Brexit, and he, the party was formed to take Britain out of the European Union, which he was successful in doing. Farage was, but now the issue is there's Keir Starmer. The Liberals won a sweeping victory, and it's been completely reversed. They are totally discredited, and they have no prayer of winning an election in Britain. The next election, the Reform Party will probably pick up something like 300 something. They will alone, I believe, or there's a good chance they alone will be the majority party. Will have enough of a majority in their parliamentary system to run the government without having to ally with any other party. But maybe they would ally with the Conservatives, or the Tories were the main. They were the I guess the equivalent of, or the counterpart of the equivalent of the Republican Party here, much more moderate, but they almost left wing. I mean, climate change, they believed in all that stuff, but now they are just about nowhere. They lost. They went way down. As I said, the Liberal Party, the Labour Party won an enormous victory, but they governed so badly that now they are down in the dumps, and the Reform Party is going to they're headed. Nigel Farage probably will be the next prime minister. It would not surprise me. So what do all three of these parties have in common? What has this to do with, and I also said in the title, and what the Republican Party here can teach the Democratic Party. So what do all of these four parties of the three European right-wing parties and the GOP, the Republicans here, all have in common? That is an important lesson for the Democrats, and this is what it is. It's that all of these parties were, number one, they were nowhere. They were nowhere just a few years, just a short time ago, and now they are either the majority or verging on the majority because they it was follow. I've said this many times in previous vlogs. They followed Margaret Thatcher's conservative advice, which was she's Tory, that was her party, and former prime minister, which is win the argument, then win the vote. And that's what they would do. They argued their positions, and their position, which was a very small minority position, is now either the majority position or on the verge of becoming the majority position. And so that is the first lesson for the Democrats. All, as you just heard John Fetterman saying, calling Trump Hitler and all that, besides the violence that it encourages, but also that's not making an argument, that's not winning an argument, and then winning the vote. Just calling somebody a fascist is, number one, it's not true, as Fetterman just said, and number two, that has nothing. That's a far cry from saying what you would do if you would win. Your criticism of it's a far cry from criticizing specific Republican or Trump policies and nominees, Supreme Court nominees, whatever you want to. Just anything that is an argument and then attempt to change people's minds. Win the argument, then win the vote. That's how Trump won twice. And the point is that, as you heard from Fetterman, so that's number one point, is stop the Hitler stuff. It's not helping them, and it's even hurting them. And I mean, just all these things that these people are saying, I mean, they're basically they're quotes to put in campaign ads for Republicans. That's, at the end of the day, that's what they're doing, celebrating the death of Charlie Kirk, just putting in there Mamdani, just putting everything he says. This is the Democratic Party now. But so that is lesson one. Lesson number two, which is where the GOP is in common with these other parties, the European parties. Lesson number two is we have to go back to the year 1854. Now, 1854 and the years before that, there were, I guess we're just destined to always have two major parties. And today it's the Democrats and Republicans. But in 1854, and for years before that, it was the Whigs and the Democratic Party. It was the Whig Party. Abraham Lincoln was a Whig. But there was, what happened was, the issue was slavery. That, as we know, Abraham Lincoln, staunch abolitionist, totally opposed to slavery, but the Whig Party was not taking a position against slavery. And what happened was the party split. The Whig Party split. They went their separate ways. I forgot what the one party called it, the Constitutionalist Party or something like that. I don't remember, but that doesn't matter. What matters is that the other party, 1854, Wisconsin, a new party was formed, the Republican Party. So they were, and in their very first election, they put up their first candidate was Abraham Lincoln, and Lincoln won. And that is the point, the lesson, the second and probably most important point for the Democrats, because you have, the problem is with them, my liberal friends, you want too much to win. That's all you care about, is winning. And that's could have been the Whig Party, that they wanted to keep the pro-slavery and the anti-slavery, or I don't remember, the abolitionist anti-slavery. And I don't know if I honestly don't remember. I'm not going to look it up whether the other side was pro-slavery or just also anti-slavery, but not willing to speak up enough, because probably the motive would be for fear of losing an election, a presidential election, which the Civil War hadn't happened, and you would lose all the Southern votes, presumably. So for whatever reason, they split. But the point is that the the Republican Party won the very next election, and these other parties in Europe, they are winning elections. They either are the majority or on the verge of the majority, and why? And the reason is because they put, as the GOP did over slavery, put the principle first, their principles first, and they split, and they did that even knowing that, well, the GOP split. I mean, these other parties, well, you don't know. The Alternative for Germany party, for instance, they could have, their members could have split from one of the more mainstream German parties. I don't know. The point is that you can start with a small, be nowhere, be at the bottom, and if your ideas are correct, you can become the majority. You can win. I mean, after Lincoln, the Republicans were the majority for several few years. I think all the way up, almost all the way up to there were Democratic presidents. I mean, you had Wilson, you had Roosevelt. Roosevelt was when the Democratic Party really came into its own. Wilson won, but it was because there was a third party candidate. You had Taft, who was a Republican, and then you had Roosevelt, Teddy Roosevelt, formed the Bull Moose Party and split the Republican vote. Had that not happened, then presumably the Republicans would have won that election and the election after that. But the point I'm making is that the Democrats, Fetterman, if he doesn't want to become a Republican, that's fine. I mean, he could also become an independent. A little aside here, Alan Dershowitz, lifelong staunch Democrat. A while back, he left the Democratic Party not too long ago, and then he just announced very recently that he has gone beyond leaving the Democrats. He is now dedicated to campaigning against Democrats because they went so far to the left and they are so radical. But Dershowitz, what if there was a party that would accommodate that? That Dershowitz would be comfortable joining, and Fetterman too. So one or the other. Either, I don't think you can kick out the far left. There's no mechanism for ostracizing members of a party. If they could do that, either do that, or these moderate Democrats should leave the Democrat Party, form a new party, even if it means in the short term losing an election, maybe the next election and the next election and the next election. But if your ideas are the correct ideas, if you believe in your ideas, then you have to assume that eventually your ideas will prevail. And the problem that the Democrats are having right now is they're putting winning above principles. I mean, even if they win, if the Democrats win and manage to hold this unholy coalition together for another election, then or maybe two more elections, even if it's just going to make them more. The left will be just more in control. I don't know how they govern. It'd be the moderates won't be able to do any. If they couldn't win an election without the far radical left of the party, then they're not going to be able. How are they going to be able to actually govern with the far left of the party? They're going to have to push some of their policies, which will, I believe, hurt the country, number one, but number two, cause them to lose the next election. So my advice for you Democrats, you should do what the Republicans did years and years ago, over 100 years ago, and just leave. Just leave, start your own party, and contact people like Alan Dershowitz and invite him to join. There are some, such as Jeff Van Drew. He was a Democrat from New Jersey. He's a U.S. representative, and he switched to the Republican Party. Maybe if there was another a moderate party that wasn't the Democratic Party that had no truck with these far left radicals. Who knows? Maybe he would come. Maybe he would leave the Republicans and join that party. But that's why I'm saying it would be the same thing in the Republican Party. I would say the same thing. If you ever had a large, I mean, you have your crazies, you have your Tucker Carlsons, or as I call them, Tucker Coughlin, after the anti-Semitic Father Coughlin from the 30s. That's what I call them. Candace, what the hell is her last name? I can't, it just slipped my mind. Oh, Candace Owens. You have these other people, and then the Nick Fuentes and all that, but they are on the fringe. Unfortunately, they have Carlson. I know has millions of followers, and that is unfortunate. He is not the for instance, he's strict isolationist, but obviously Trump. Trump. Well, Tucker Coughlin said that if Trump attacked, bombed the nuclear sites in Iran, that would be World War III, or Russia would start World War III in Ukraine. So none of that's happened. But the point is that the Republican Party did not heed them. Republican Party is not an isolationist party. So there you go. That's it for today. Final advice again. Just repeat my advice for you moderate Democrats, or you left-wing Democrats. I would say you should leave and form. Just admit that you're socialist and form or join the straight-out socialist party. There is one, and but I don't see them doing that because they are increasingly gaining control of the Democrat Party. So why should they leave? So it's up to you, moderate Democrats. Do you want to be in the party that celebrates the assassination of Charlie Kirk? Do you want to be in the party, especially you Jewish Democrats? I'm a Jew. I was a Democrat. I left in 1980. I saw the writing wall even then. Do you want to be? How long do you want to be in the party where if the platform becomes globalize the Intifada, basically the destruction of Israel and the murder of every Jew between the Mediterranean and Sea and the Jordan River, as what they would call a good start in killing every Jew all over the world, including all these Jews that are saying, free Palestine. So it's your decision to make. I made my decision in 1980. But who knows, if there was an alternative party to join, maybe I would have joined that party and not become a Republican. And these days I'm a conservative. I just feel better being independent, but I am a conservative for sure. And that's it. Thanks for today. Thanks for stopping by. Your comments always welcome in the comment section below the video. Share this video with anyone you think could benefit from it. Subscribe. Most of all, come back and see me again. I'd love to see all of you again. And until I do see all of you again, bye.